Hi everyone, it's Nat here. Hope you're all doing well. I'm on for my second tutorial video for Global Land using the awesome products that I got from them for the month of June. So in the last tutorial we made these wax seals using these wax seal stamps that I grabbed. It's a set of 10 ocean themed stamps. Really love these. I also got the stirring spoon, which you didn't see me use last time much, so I'll use the spoon. I also grabbed this set of stamps because I thought it would be fun to use these to make some ephemera to use my wax seals on. So the link to Global Land is down below if you want to have a look. There's also an individual link to each one of the products that I have been using for the two tutorials. There's also a coupon code, which is NET10, so make sure you use that on checkout if you want to grab 10% off of any orders from Global Land. So we will get on with it and make some ephemera for some future journals using these stamps and the wax seals. I have some coloured end papers here out of books. I have stacks of them. If you don't have those, you can always just use coloured cardstock or coloured paper. I just chose a few different shades of blue. So I'm going to stamp my wave stamps onto these. I'm going to do a couple of each design of stamp on each page that I chose, just so I've got a lot to choose from and I'll have leftovers for future projects as well. So I'm just putting the stamps onto my long stamp blocks here. I'm able to put one on each side, which will make it a bit quicker. Using my black archival ink to stamp these. I struggle a bit with the first stamp, just getting, there was one certain area that I wasn't getting the ink on. Probably doesn't help that I've got my stamps towards the edge of the block as well. But I think it's my third stamp of it. I managed to get it stamped up nicely and press it in all the areas. Other than that, they all stamped really, really well. So you can see with that third one, I've got it nice and clear and it's beautiful. I love these, especially when I started colouring them in. They remind me of some Japanese artwork I've seen before with waves. So as you can see, I'm trying to get 2 good prints of each design there on each colour page, and I think I had about 6 different colour pages, so I've got stacks and stacks of them. But I always think I'm going to make all this different stuff because I've got so many ideas, and then I start doing it and realise how long it's going to take me and I have to change my plans. So they're all the ones I've stamped out. Now I'm going to cut some of them out. I realised that I possibly want them a little thicker, so I decide to back them onto just some old book page just to make them a bit thicker, and I rather do that before I fussy cut them out than afterwards. So I want different colours for each of my layers here because I want to layer a few up and see what they look like. So once it's all dry from the glue, I will do the real fussy cutting of the top pieces. Now I've got these cards and envelopes that came from a set that I found secondhand. I'm just chopping the top off of one of the envelopes so it's open up the top there. And then I'm just chopping it down on the inside there. I want to make a pocket there to slip a little booklet into. I'm using some distress ink just to go around the edges. I think I'm using Faded Jeans there. I have this picture out of a book of an underwater theme, and I want to rip that down so I can use it as some decoration. I want to cover that little front pocket piece there. Just ripping it so there's a little bit of border around the picture. Putting the picture on top of the pocket where it's going to sit and just punching a hole with a big circle punch there to make a little thumb notch. And I wanted a thumb notch on the actual pocket as well as the picture. So when I apply the glue, I want to make sure that I don't stick my pocket down. We still need to be able to slip things in and out. So I just put it on that front piece of the envelope and then a line down on the right-hand side there, so that the envelope will stick to the picture, but the picture's not going to stick the half the envelope closed there. And it just closes it off on that right-hand side. So now we'll start decorating the front. I use those watercolour pens and my white Signo pen to do a bit of colouring on my waves. I love the way that's turned out. Now I want to stick them down layered like that. Just make a mark where I want to stick that first one. Then I'll stick the second one up so the top of the waves of the second one cover the bottom of that first one. And then I do the same with this bottom lot of waves. So I fussy cut these fish out of a book and I really love them, so I want to add them. And I thought I'd try and do some bubbles coming out of their mouths. So I've got some white fabric ink there and a little sort of bubble background stamp. That was from Global Land as well. And I'm stamping it on. You can only just see it, but I notice as it dries, it sort of goes clear and it just looks like wet marks. So it didn't work out too well. So I decided to stick my fish down anyway. You can sort of see on the right there where the bubbles are just showing up like wet splotches. It does say fabric ink, that ink, so I should try it on some fabric maybe. So to rectify that, I decided to go in with my white Signo pen and just draw on those wet splotches with my white ink pen. I do go over it a couple of times so that it stands out nicely. So now I'm cutting down one of the cards that goes in these envelopes so that it will fit in the pocket that we just made. And I've just got the leftover bit from the page that we decorated our envelope with a bit, and I want to put that on the back of the card. Then for the inside, I'm just cutting some of this lined paper so it sits nicely on the inside covers, and it's going to go on the front and back inside cover of my card. This little card's going to be a little booklet that adds heaps more journaling space to my journal once the envelope is put in there. So again, I grab my faded jeans to ink around the edges. Then I can stick down each of the pages. You could go further and do some stamping, would look really nice on these, which I probably will when I put it into my journal, stamping and stenciling to decorate it a bit more. Then I've got some music paper here. I want to fold that up as a page for the inside of my card. It's a bit too long, but I decide rather than trimming it down that I will just fold one of the sides over as a bit of a flip out writing spot. And I've got some blue paper there which has been dried with a stencil on top. I think I just dyed it with acrylic paint. And I want to use that as another page for the inside. I don't want to add too many pages because it's got to sit in our pocket and not bulk the journal up too much. So I'm just sewing my pages in here with the 3-hole pamphlet stitch. So I go down through the middle, up through the top, then down through the bottom of the 3 holes, and then back through the middle again. And I just make sure that both ends are under and either side of that middle thread that runs down, and then tie a double knot. And I make sure that all the strings are taut. That holds all the pages in nicely. So heaps of writing space in that little thing. I'm just inking a little bit over the holes there because I think it brings them out nicely. So now I'm trying to decide on what seal I want up the top of my little booklet. And I decide I really love the waves. So they're going to be a topper for the outside there of my little booklet. Makes it easier to sort of grab and pull it out from my pocket. So now to decorate the front of the booklet, and I'm adding another one of the waves there that I've coloured in. And I've got this seagull from a book. So fussy cut him out. Then I decide I need something else to put on the front of my card booklet. So I decide to go in with some Versacolour stamps and stamp some words. And then I'm just going over with some clear embossing powder. This was piles of fun to do. I was surprised to see the colour there, but once you put the clear embossing on, it looks like there's no colour whatsoever underneath. And then it seems magical when you put the heat gun on it. Love watching it change. And that turned out really nice. So I decided to rip my words out. I like the look of the white on around the blue paper there, the white ripped edges, because they remind me of the waves or clouds. So I purposely rip it so that you see the whites. The colours of the paper go really nice with the colours on the wax seal that I created as well. And then I stick the seagull down. I put him in a bit of a funny position though. I think he should have sort of been turned a bit. I'm just trying to figure out how I want to place my wax seal because I only want to stick it down partially so that it slips over the front of our pocket a little bit. So I've got these sticky rings that are made specifically for sticking onto your wax seals to stick them where you want them on your envelope or whatever. And I'm just cutting a bit of it off so I can place it more to the top half, I think, of my wax seal. stick that to the top of my card. So you'll see when I slip it in now that the seal sits over the top of my pocket just a little bit. So I'm just going in again with the white pen to highlight those bubbles. So now I want to get on with another ephemera piece for my journal, and I just cut down 2 of the cards here. And I'm using my tag corner punch there to cut the shape of tags. So one is bigger than the other because one's going to be a background. It's going to be like a pocket tag, and then the lighter blue one will be a tag that slips into the pocket. I end up wanting that a bit smaller though, so I decide to cut it down a bit, and then I have to use the corner punch again on it. Now I want to do my layered waves again, and I will need to back those because I want to make a pocket out of them this time, so they definitely need to be a bit sturdier. So I'm choosing the colours that I want and the patterns that I want and sticking them down to the book page, but I can layer them up as I go. So I've fussy cut the 2 bottom waves. I didn't fussy cut the top one because that will be easier to do once I've got it backed onto this piece. Or else I'd have to fussy cut it once and then stick it onto the background piece and then fussy cut that again. So it's just easier to do the top one afterwards. So that will be our pocket. So I just want to add some highlights now with my white Signo pen. It's a bit like a gel pen. I think they are gel pens. I got mine from the news agency. I absolutely love them. I've got a white and a black one. So now I've got the back tag in the dark blue, and I've got my good white ink here. It's a Versacolor one. And I'm just using that with the stamp again to get some bubbles around the outside of the background tag. Then I decide that I'll put a bit of lined paper on as a writing spot there as well, which will be hidden by the tag that we slip in. Just inking around the edge a bit. And then I can stick the pocket down, so just apply my glue to the 3 sides. And the tag slips in really nicely. So now I'm just adding some of my feather trim and my eyelash trim. And I have chosen the wax seal that I want to put on top. And I'm using the spoon there just to stir the wax as I melt it. And I'll apply a bit of wax and I can stick my little seal down using that. Then I use the spoon to scrape the excess wax out, and I'm finding it really handy for that because I like to get as much of the wax out as I can so I don't waste it. I let that wax set and then I keep it because I can remelt it for future projects. So I'm just applying some lined paper to the back of the tag. I love using the wax seals like that just to hold the trims on, and I think it makes a nice tag topper. Decide to do some stamping here, so I'm just using my Versacolor stamp pads. I've got 3 different sort of blue toned inks. I'm just doing some shells and starfish and algae or seaweed stuff. And I do that knot with the rope, and then I decide to stick on one of my fish that I've cut out of a book. Very simple tag, but a lot of fun. So the last project I want to do is a great way to scrap bust some of the bits of paper. So I've got some of the book page there, the end book pages that we used to stamp on. I've got a lot of scraps of that, so I'm using a bit of that and some other scraps that I have hanging around here to make some little cluster embellishments. Once I'm happy with how they go together, I can stick them down. So you can see I'm just ripping a bit of the excess book page from the stamped image there to add to my cluster. Then pick one of the wax seals to use on it. And a bit more of my eyelash trim. I think that goes so nice, the eyelash trim for the underwater theme, especially with the colours that I've got. So I tack that down with some glue, and then I can apply my wax seal with some glue as well. Or if you've still got your wax on the side melting away, you can always use that to apply it as well. It's as easy as that, and I love the way that looks. Here are the wonderful products that I used for this tutorial. So these are the wax seal stamps, set of 10. They are gorgeous. And these were the wax seals that we made with those in my last video, which I'll link down below for you, as well as the unboxing if you want to check it all out. I love the seals. So I had fun colouring them in and doing some inlays and that. And so today I wanted to use a few of those. I also grabbed this pack of silicone stamps because I thought that they'd go really nice on some ephemera with the wax seals. Had heaps of fun with those too. I had a lot of ideas, but as usual I had to stop with the few that I did, or else the video would have taken all day. I also did use my little wax stirring spoon. So it's very handy to stir the wax, but it's also great when I want to scrape the residual wax out of my wax spoon, because I like to scrape as much as I can out of it and let that set so that I can reuse it. So very handy for that. So what I made with them was I ended up with heaps and heaps of these stamped out pieces as well. I've got some fussy cut ready to go there, and I've got a pile still on the pages that I haven't cut out yet, so I'll be able to use them for ages. The last thing that we did do together was make some little clusters. So a great way of using up some of the scrap bits of paper. I did use some of the end book page, the coloured blue bits that I used to stamp my ocean stamps on. This is a great way to use them up. And then I found some of my strips of paper that I've collected. And just some of my trims. So I've got some eyelash trim on this one. I've got a bit of feather trim as well. I love the way they turned out. Really simple, but beautiful little decorations to quickly embellish a little pocket or a corner of a page, an envelope, or anything like that. So they're a lot of fun to make. And then I made this tag. So what I'll probably do with this tag is stick it down to a page. I'll probably leave one side unstuck so I can slip some paper or journaling card behind it. But it has a pocket that I made from the stamps that I cut out and layered up, and I coloured them in with my white gel pen. Put a bit of writing paper on there so it can be a bit of a journaling spot. And then this is the tag that I made to slip into my pocket. So I just did some stamping on that. And that's how I used one of my seals. I used the beautiful mermaid. And I layered her on top of some of my feather trim and my eyelash trim again. And I showed by melting the wax how you can actually attach your seals with wax. If you've already got it on the side and heating it up, you can attach seals and that with your wax like a glue as well. There was some discoloration on the back of my tag after I did attach it with the wax. So what I did was just put some writing space on the back as well. And then just little fish that I cut out of a book. So it's a real cute way of making a tag. And I love using the wax seals as a tag topper and having them hold on to the fibres like that. So you can just slip your tag in like that. So that'll be a nice page embellishment. And then I also made my envelope. So with this envelope, the idea with this would be to attach it onto a page, most likely like that. You'd want a sturdy page though, because it does have a bit of weight. So I'd stick this side down, and with that you could even put one of your embellishments on there. I think that looks really cool. Make that into a little tuck spot, and then it would flip open like that, and then you'd be able to take out your little book. And I used the wax seal on that just as a little tag pull. So that's a little booklet that we made. I did some embossing with the words. Seagull out of a book. I used one of the stamped pieces that I coloured in again. For all these pieces I used some cards and envelopes that I got secondhand. Put some writing space and added a few pages in here. So it's a lot of extra journaling space to slip in somewhere. Then I used just one of my book pages. Had the same picture on the envelope here, and I used the leftover on there and made this little pocket with the envelope. So that just slips in there. So yes, I would put the flip from the envelope onto the page like that, so it flips out like that, or else I would stick it down like that in a journal. And on the front of this is where I used the other ink to do the white dots, but it ended up just going clear and just looked like wet spots. So I coloured these in with my white Signo pen. And again, just layered up the pieces. It's not a pocket there though. And then put some beautiful fish on there, and I love that. Nice and fun and colourful. And I just had to choose the wave wax seal to put on there. I love that one. So that was so much fun. So massive thank you to Globaland for the awesome product for this time around. The link to Globaland is below if you want to have a look, and there is also a link to all the individual products that I used. There's also a coupon code which is NAT10, and that's for 10% off of your orders with Globaland. So much fun. So I hope you are getting some crafting done. Do take care, stay well, and hopefully I'll see you again very soon. Bye.